You are listening to The Pilgrim on the 405 with Will Christ. Join him as he and his guests discover how businesses thrive in California.
Oh, welcome to The Pilgrim on the 405. We have a wonderful conversation today with some software, some websites that are going to be helping young folks and middle-aged folks and older folks get information that they would really benefit from. So welcome, Rune Hauge, the CEO of Mentorcam. Welcome.
Thank you, Will.
So Rune, tell me a little bit about Mentorcam. It's a fascinating idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mentorcam is an app that gives you access to world-class experts that are otherwise typically pretty difficult to access for one-on-one advice and mentorship in areas related to personal development and self-improvement. So for example, let's say that you have a health or fitness goal. Well, you can go on Mentorcam and you can connect with title creator Billy Blanks or two-time Olympic gold medalist Hope Solo, and hire them to be your mentor and have them help you reach your goals and objectives. Those are just two examples. We also have mentors in areas such as career development. So for example, you'll find former Fortune 500 executives and world-renowned coaches. We also get a lot of interest in our dating and relationship mentors for people who are looking for dating advice. So there are really a lot of different areas where you can find a mentor on Mentorcam. And that's what we're really about, connecting people to mentors that they otherwise wouldn't have access to.
Well, to be mentored by somebody like Billy Blank or some of the CEOs or some of the top athletes, that generally is a pretty expensive endeavor.
For the most part, it is. Usually that would cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per session. However, on Mentorcam, you communicate with your mentors through asynchronous video messages. So essentially, you ask a question, you record a selfie video, you send that along through the app, and then the mentor responds also with a pre-recorded video. So that takes the time commitment down quite a bit, and you push all that value into relatively short interactions. That also brings down the cost substantially. So most of the mentors are priced between $20 and $100 for one question, and you can also purchase bundles where maybe you want to get mentorship over the course of a month, which we very frequently see happen for a discounted price per question.
Well, when you say they send back, let's see, now a customer, a person would be recording a video on their phone, sending that to Mentorcam, and then you said that the mentor would send back a pre-recorded. Is this something that's just canned, or is this an individual video that comes back?
It's an individual video, so that the mentor addresses the person that asked the question. Over time, we see that users build relationships with their mentors as well, and they have ongoing conversations through video messages.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. It's a very interesting concept. I haven't seen that in other places. Are there other places where you have that kind of video back and forth?
Well, there are a few other places where you can do live sessions. That, to your previous point, brings up the price quite a bit. And then you have other apps like Cameo who paved the way for the idea of doing asynchronous videos, basically video messages that aren't, where you don't hop on a live call, and talk in real time, but you send these messages back and forth. They are highly personalized, so the feedback that we get from users is that the value that they derive from these videos is inherently very high. I mean, think about it. If you're working with a career coach or you're working with a fitness mentor, you typically have questions that don't necessarily require them to respond in real time. You're looking for their advice and their knowledge, which they can share in this format just as easily. And it's more convenient for both sides because it doesn't require scheduling.
Mm-hmm. So now you mentioned a couple of categories. How long have you been doing this?
We launched our beta just about a year ago in April 2020. So we're about a year in.
And how many mentors do you have on your site now?
We have 60 mentors on the Mentorcam app. We are very careful about what mentors we present and what mentors we bring onto the platform, because we want to ensure that the quality of mentorship is there, that they are truly experts, and also that they respond in a timely manner, so that they're willing to take on the commitment of being a Mentorcam mentor.
Now, why would somebody want to become a mentor?
Well, a few reasons. The obvious one is that there's a monetary aspect to it. You can monetize on your expertise in a way that's very time efficient, because these video messages typically aren't more than 2 to 3 minutes long. And if you think about it, anything longer than that, it starts getting more into a monologue, not a question and answer type of interaction. So there's the monetization aspect. There's the awareness building aspect. A lot of our mentors are coaches full time, and this is a way for them to build awareness around their business. And I also think a lot of the mentors really want to give back to their fans and the people that look up to them. And this is a way to do so.
Well, this would be a way to get in touch with somebody that I had a high respect for, or somebody who was a celebrity in a particular silo. I wanted to talk with them. This would be a way of getting access to them, right?
Yeah, exactly. And most people don't currently have access to great mentors. Typically, it requires a strong network or the ability to pay traditionally very high prices for the type of coaches that we can offer on Mentorcam at a much lower price point. So we really want to give more people access to great mentorship opportunities, to great opportunities to leverage expert advice to improve and reach whatever objectives it is that they have in life, whether it be career related or related to relationships or health, fitness. There's a vast number of areas that people are looking for mentorship to improve in.
Good. Well, so let's talk about some of your expectations for Mentorcam. Where do you see this being 5-10 years from now?
Well, I think Mentorcam at the end of the day is about making connections. And I think anyone can benefit from having a mentor. I myself was very fortunate to have a mentor early in my career. I come from a background where my parents didn't really work in anything related to business or startups. And I was lucky enough to have a very high level executive as a mentor, almost by chance. And we want to give these opportunities to everyone. Everyone's looking to make an improvement in an area of their lives can benefit, I believe, from mentorship. And that's ultimately where we want to take this. We want to make this as accessible. We want to make as many people as accessible as we can make them. And we want to make these opportunities available to more people. So that's really where we want to take it. And I think there are many, many categories that are currently unexplored that we will also add to Mentorcam as we keep growing. We recently saw, for example, that one of our mentors that's doing really well is Grammy-nominated artist Mario Barrett. And he gets a lot of questions from people who want to break into the recording industry. And people that are in the recording industry and are looking for ways to find new jobs during the pandemic. So, and this is something we didn't initially think about, but it evolved into that because the mentorship, I don't think, really knows any boundaries. There are so many areas where you can benefit from having a mentor.
Mm-hmm. What particular areas are you looking at now to expand into?
Yeah, so as I mentioned already, professional development and career development is very, very big at the moment. We get a lot of people looking for career advice. Dating and relationships is also doing very, very well. We're building up the health and fitness category in the broader sense. So topics related to mental well-being, things like coaching around sleep and meditation, things like that are areas that we're looking to expand into that we currently aren't, where we currently don't have a lot of mentors.
Well, all right. So help me to understand. I mean, I'm imagining on the one hand, one extreme is telemedicine, where somebody could be communicating. I've had to communicate with asynchronous video from time to time with my doctor, and I have a lot of trust for him, and I believe that he will be open and honest with me and tell me the truth as so far as he knows it. The other extreme is Facebook, other social media conversations, which is, well, yes, I had a friend who, and maybe you should do this. And now those are two extremes. I don't think I would have a lot of trust in some of those social media conversations and comments. How do you see Mentorcam avoiding both extremes?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, we stay out of medical advice and legal advice. Those are platforms that already have good technology to facilitate interactions with, right? Like you said, you already communicated with your doctor in this manner, and that's usually an individual that you know and already trust. We are more looking at the mentorship angle from a personal growth perspective, right? People that can help you enhance some area in your life. And you're absolutely right that in order for you to want to do that with a mentor, you have to trust this person, which is why we're very curated in who we pick as mentors. Most of them are public figures, reasonably well known or relatively well known, in some cases very well known, not only in their niche, but outside of it as well. And that helps establish credibility. We also look for things like, have you published any work in your field? Have you written anything? Are you, for example, yourself, you're hosting a very well-known podcast, right? Things like that are things that we are looking for when we pick mentors to come onto the platform, so that barrier of trust is lower and easier for the user to cross, because it is inherently very important since these interactions are very, very personal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, all right. So let's talk a little bit about the business. How did you get this idea, and how did you start it?
Yeah, so it's a long story. I'll try to make it brief, but I had a few experiences in my life where I really benefited from having a mentor myself. I mentioned one where I was early in my career, and I was actually able to get access to the person who was currently was formerly the CEO of Citigroup in Norway, where I grew up and where I went to school. And that helped me really shape my career and, get me started in the career that I previously had in finance. But also, she helped me understand that finance wasn't for me. I wanted to do my own business. I was, I think, an entrepreneur at heart. Mm-hmm. And I've had similar experiences with people that have helped me in areas like sports. For example, I had a trainer that just helped me tremendously with my athletic career. So that was one thing that really inspired me to want to bring mentorship opportunities to more people. The other thing is I did a startup with another co-founder in the past where we worked with content creators and influencers on demonstrating products on a live stream. So for example, we would have trainers come in and talk about nutritional supplements. We would have mommy bloggers come and talk about children's car seats. And what we realized, and of course the customer was the brand selling these products, but what we realized is that people are really interested in expert opinions. People really wanted to pick these experts' brains about their knowledge on a particular topic, whether it be car seats or nutritional supplements or even home improvement products like power drills. We had experts come on and people wanted to ask them questions. So I realized there's a disconnect here. It's a disconnect between people who want to share their expertise and people who want access to that expertise. And we, with Mentorcam, the idea was to connect those dots and bring these people together.
Uh-huh. All right, so you have the idea. It sounds like a good one. What are the next steps? What did you do then?
Yeah, so we very much went the traditional tech startup route where we built just a very plain and simple product, tested it in the market with a handful of mentors. Billy Blanks was one of the very first to come on, and we wanted to see is there demand for this. We were bootstrapped. It was just my co-founder and I. He's an engineer. I'm more on the business side. And we wanted to see, does this work? And because many of the mentors have a following already, we could use their distribution channels to draw in an audience. Mm-hmm. So we did that April last year, tested it in the market, and the response was just enormous. Mm-hmm. So many people were interested, and we had so many also mentors knocking on our door that we were able to expand the platform. And then we went out and we raised some initial venture capital to help us grow.
All right. How many people are working in the company now?
Right now, we're 9 people total.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a pretty lean team. Grew from 3 in December. So to us, it feels like a lot of people. Uh-huh. And we're probably going to be around 15 at the end of, I suppose it's already Q2.
Uh-huh. And so, what kind of dangers do you see in your future as you move toward the goals that you have? For any company that or any startup that taps into a space where they find something very valuable, there's always going to be others who want to do the same. And while I believe competition is healthy, it's important that as a product category, what we do doesn't get diluted, right? I see other platforms, other apps who focus on maybe more or maybe less tangible aspects where they have people like mediums and astrologers and stuff like that coming on board and giving advice. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what we do, and we want to make sure that we don't get conflated with that. We're very focused on tangible personal advice that can be substantiated. So that's probably the biggest threat I see as far as maintaining not only our position but also achieving our vision of bringing mentorship and the opportunity to be mentored to a bigger audience. So you're saying, do I hear you saying that the biggest danger is competitors? Well,
the biggest danger is not necessarily competitors in and of itself, because I think competition is healthy and competitors do keep us on edge, and that's a good thing. But I think the biggest threat is that we get conflated with others who aren't doing what we're doing. There's a lot of attention currently in the startup space, in the venture capital space, on the creator economy as a whole. I think very much so with the angle of, hey, there are all these content creators out there. Let's help them monetize. That's important as well, but let's also not forget why we're doing this. It's not only about, making sure certain people can monetize on their online persona, but it's about really helping people improve their lives and improve something that matters to them. And that's what we want to make sure that we can maintain that vision and that position as well, if that makes sense.
Yes. Well, when you talk about helping improve people's lives, my family on my mother's side came from Norway.
Nice.
My great grandmother grew up in what was described to me in a little island off of Bergen.
Yeah. I used to live in Bergen, actually. I studied
really
there. Yeah. No, Norway's pretty much made up of small villages, lots of islands, fjords. Communities aren't very big, right? And I think that's why, someone like me, when I went off to school, I was able to get access to a mentor. There just aren't that many of us, right?
Right.
Those networks inherently become a little more, a little narrow, a little more tight knit because the communities are smaller. And I think on a grander scale, on a global scale, those connections don't necessarily exist that easily.
Well, now, is there a concept? Is it in Norway or some other Scandinavian country? There's a word for comfort or satisfaction or a life that is purposeful but modest. Isn't there a word for that?
You're thinking about the word hygge.
Yes.
Which is difficult to translate, but it's a word in Norwegian and Danish and in Swedish. Those languages are very similar, and it's difficult to describe, but I think you pretty much nailed it, right? You comfort, to some extent, modesty, and happiness, really. That's very true. We also have another word called dugnad, which is about helping others. That's also a very difficult word to translate, but it really means giving something of yourself to help other people for no other reason than helping the greater good, helping the community.
So would that be one of the core values of your company?
Those are definitely two of the core values for us, because I think I alluded to it a little bit earlier that many of the mentors really do care about giving something back more than anything else. I would say actually all of them care about giving something back. It's a criteria for becoming a mentor. And I think that's really important. You have to be genuinely interested in helping others improve and develop if you're going to be a good mentor or a good coach.
When you have your core values, and when I think of core values, I mean, there are 3 to 7 at the most. That's stretching it is 7, but 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there, core values. When you you talked about curating your mentors. Would you have somebody on who didn't live out your 3 to 5 core values?
Well, it gets a little tricky. There are some core values that are just, I think, ubiquitously important across Mentorcam. I hope I used that word correctly. Mm-hmm. And that comes down to this idea of helping others, this idea of having an interest in helping others improve. But I also think we have to be very careful about inserting our opinion on, what constitutes what constitutes interesting advice, because that's very personal, right? Mm-hmm. Who are we to say, who you should get advice from and what type of advice makes sense to you? Now, there are some boundaries there, and we want to make sure that the advice can be somewhat substantiated, right? We don't want anyone coming on selling snake oil, so to speak. That's very important to us. But beyond that, we don't want to be the judge of the type of interactions the mentors have with their mentees, as long as they're helping them.
Well, suppose that, I mean, given what you talked about, your core value about helping other people, suppose somebody had turned their slot, their participation in Mentorcam into just a money-making project. They really weren't paying attention to their clients or their, the mentees, the people who had asked questions. Would that be, what would you do if you discovered that?
We typically discover that in the discovery process. We uncover these things in what we call qualification calls. Mm-hmm. And if we get the sense that people want to use the same, for example, what's to stop someone from just, I guess, editing a video and just using the same video over and over in their responses, right? Just batch processing responses. But that doesn't add value to the end user who's, coming onto the platform, wanting to connect with maybe Billy Blanks or Hope Solo or a dating coach they're following for personalized advice. So if we discover that early on that this is something that they want to do, we don't let them on Mentorcam in the first place. So far that hasn't been a problem. If it ever were to become a problem, we would take it very seriously, because Mentorcam is about personal advice. It is about one-on-one interactions. It's not one-to-many. It's one-on-one. So that's something that we would take very seriously.
Well, what I'm hearing is the one-on-one, the mentoring, that's the way, that's the path that you're using to accomplish what you really want, which is to help other people.
Yes, correct. And if you think about it, let's say that I wanted to start a podcast, mm-hmm. Right? And then I wanted to get some advice on how to do it successfully. Mm-hmm. Okay, I know Will Christ, I can ask him, right? Mm-hmm. Most people wouldn't have access to you. Maybe you wouldn't even have time for me, mm-hmm. Right? So if I could connect with you on Mentorcam on advice, I could share with you exactly what I wanted to do, and you could give me some pointers. Now, of course, I can find some generic advice. I can mm-hmm. Google it. I can read about, how to start a successful podcast. Anyone can do that. But if I want something that stands out, if I want some input on what I can do differently, or what should I work on? Maybe I'm really good at, I don't know, creating a story, but not so good with, the whole studio setup mm-hmm. or distribution, right? That's very personalized. So I think most people would agree in a situation like this, the personalization aspect actually matters, and getting personalized advice matters, right? This is why smaller class sizes generally is better for students than larger class sizes, right? Because you get more personalized attention.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm hearing is that you have some core values about what your business is about. And then you are qualifying people and disqualifying them in your initial conversations based upon your core values.
Correct.
And that way, that pushes up that makes it much more probable that you're going to have what we call the right person, right? The right person. That's one who lives out the core values of the organization that they're part of.
Yes.
Now, how do you find out if they're in the right seat? How do you find out if, in fact, they are giving information that is helping their mentees?
Yeah, so I think part of that is us doing our research in advance. Looking up these individuals, verifying what is it that they've written, what have they put out there, what are they talking about through their social media channels, if they have those, what are they talking about in their podcasts, if they have a podcast, right? And that's partly subjective, but also objective in the sense that we're making sure that they actually are providing something tangible and that they have an area where they could call themselves experts. And the other thing that we do when we talk to them is we ask them, why do you want to be a mentor? Why do you want to come on Mentorcam? What's your motivation? And that the response usually guides whether they are a good fit for the platform or not.
Well, as you are moving through the process, people are on the platform. Do you get any comments back? Is there a way that mentees can communicate with you about how happy they were or how unhappy they were with the process or the people?
Yes, we do have a feedback loop. There's a star rating. You can rate your mentors. And we also regularly ask our users if they're willing to hop on a call with us, 10 minutes, just to share some feedback. I've heard some very, very powerful stories through these conversations. We had one guy who I won't disclose this person's name, but he was based out of, I believe it was Utah. He was struggling with some family problems, was connecting to a life coach on Mentorcam, Sonia Satra, former soap opera actress, and talked to her about, overcoming some of these challenges he had with his family. And 10 questions in, he just, he felt like this was the most meaningful conversation he had ever had. And that was more powerful and impactful than we had imagined Mentorcam could be. And that's just one example. We have many examples like that. We've seen people, who have struggled with confidence, right? Who maybe they want to get in shape, but they don't have the confidence to go out and do something like, go for a short run or even a walk because they feel like people are looking at them. And just a few choice words from Billy Blanks can help a person like that. We've seen that happen, to go out and start a good, healthy exercise routine.
Good. Do you ever get negative negative feedback?
Not so much from end users as far as the interactions with the mentor goes. We're always trying to improve the product. We've had instances where people have said, well, I wish you had this feature. I wish you had that feature. And that's mostly on us to figure out what's the common denominator, what really, helps people. But I think we're on to something now where we created a format that makes sense. It's not cost prohibitive because the interactions are asynchronous, and they do get access to these people. They know that they're talking to an actual mentor to develop a relationship because it's all via video.
Great. So what opportunities do you see in the future?
I see massive opportunities for expanding into other fields, other areas, getting more mentors, get a more diverse group of mentors as we are getting more and more interest just simply for our product on the mentor side. And then I also see, I think one of the things that we've seen with the pandemic is that a lot of people are feeling isolated. They are feeling, maybe that they need some kind of human interaction, and they're focusing more on self-development. So I think there's a massive opportunity here that even post the pandemic, which fingers crossed we'll get there soon, we can help people identify these opportunities for personal growth. Because anyone can grow. I think there's no such thing as like, I'm done growing, I'm done developing. There are always things that you could work on and that you can improve.
Right.
So I think that's where the opportunity really lies.
What do you see as the strengths of your organization?
I think our team is our biggest strength. Both my co-founder and I have a background from working with content creators in the past. We both have a background from video. So we've done some trial and errors with other companies and other products that we founded and built in the past. I think that's very, very helpful. And I also think that experience helps us really understand the mentors, many of whom are content creators, and what makes sense for them. So I think that's probably our biggest strength right now. that and the fact that we have a group of awesome, really, really great investors on board as well that are truly, truly value adds.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, what would you like for people to do? What would you like to invite them to do?
I would like to invite people to open their minds to the idea of getting a mentor, first of all. And if they can find that mentor on Mentorcam, great. I think that's a good way to get access to many of the mentors. Yeah, if you have an iPhone or an Android phone, you can easily download the app and check out Mentorcam, take a look, browse through the mentors, see if there's someone there for you. And if it is, hopefully you can have a good interaction with someone and find yourself a mentor and advisor that you can work with over time.
Do you have a goal for how many mentees you want to have served before the end of the year?
Well, we always track engagement. So we try to, again, because it's very important to deliver value, the best way we can track engagement is to look at what is the repeatability of this, how many questions do people ask. And I'm not going to disclose the exact goal that we have, but we are definitely tracking the number of questions that we generate over time and the questions per user. Because that, at the end of the day, is a measurement of, are we delivering value? And at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters as far as, are we achieving success?
Excellent. Excellent. Well, it sounds like you have a very interesting pathway in the next couple of years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been a fun journey so far, and I'm really excited about the next chapter. Now that we raised some capital, now that we have a good product market fit, we feel like the sky's the limit, and I'm excited.
Have you given any thought to being purchased by some company?
Well, I think with any startup, you want to think about an exit at some point. Right now, that's not something that's top of mind. We're 100% focused on developing the best product and getting the word out there that Mentorcam exists, and providing as many people as possible the opportunity to experience Mentorcam. That's currently our main focus. But of course, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about, what are some strategies that make sense for us going forward? How can we continue to deliver value beyond what we're just doing now? And then in that case, there certainly would be a scenario where we would entertain potential sale of the company or an acquisition.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's wonderful. That's exciting. It sounds like you've got some ground under your feet. And it sounds like you got a very interesting opportunity ahead of you. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We certainly have some ground under our feet, and now it's all about running and not stumbling. So
right.
We're in a good spot.
So this is as well. This is an immigrant story as well, right?
I suppose it is. Yeah, you may have noticed a faint accent here. I'm originally from Norway. I came to the United States about 10 years ago as an exchange student in business school, and circumstances would have it. I ended up staying. I started my first company, which was an apparel company. Subsequently sold that company and transitioned into a tech startup, and the rest is history. Now I'm on to Mentorcam, and that's probably the most exciting thing I've done in my entire career.
Excellent. Well, thanks a lot, Rune, for being with us. This has been a wonderful story. I've really been inspired by it, and it sounds interesting enough to take a look to see if I could be one of the mentors on your platform.
We would love to have you, Will. We should definitely talk more about that.
Good. Well, that would be wonderful. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us. And folks, this is just one more example of how businesses in California thrive.
You've been listening to The Pilgrim on the 405 with Will Christ.